Oh, I didn't hear y'all come in. I didn't know we were ready to shoot. It's time already? They told me we're shooting an hour later. My name is Max, and welcome to Moments with Max. Please excuse me for the way I'm dressed because, as you heard, I had expected to shoot an hour later. I was reading about a young man who had an amazing story. To give you a little bit about his background, it turns out that his grandmother had her real issues. His grandmother, to many people, was known as a person who would lie. You would call her a liar. And his father was a polygamist. And this young man was one of the last born in his family. He was the baby. His father's issues were so bad that he didn't get along with the boy's grandfather. They had to be separated by a line. Just because of the way the grandfather didn't trust him. And didn't trust his son-in-law, rather. And this young man, growing up in this troubled situation, still had dreams and visions like most young people do. And those of you who are watching who have siblings realize that your siblings can crush your dreams and make you believe you can never become what you believe you will be. And just like most of this young man's brothers did the same thing to him. Well, if life wasn't bad enough for having his dreams crushed, turns out when he's 17 years old, he was sold into slavery. You guys do realize that slavery still takes place in these United States of America and across the world. Well, after he was sold into slavery, he was purchased by another man. While serving him, it turns out that because he didn't have any bitterness about what happened to him, he managed to really impress the person he worked for and moved to number 2 position in this man's company. Well, while working for the company, it turns out that he was charged with sexual harassment. We know that's a big thing now. It's not to be taken lightly. We find out later on that he was never even guilty of this. But what happened, they actually had a trial. And the trial took place so fast that he didn't get representation and was sentenced to prison and had no possible appeals because of the type of guilt it was. Well, I would have been bitter, and I think most of you listening would have been bitter too. But this young man just continued to use his gifts. Well, one day while sitting in prison, he got a call from the warden that he needed to be seen. You see, the people in charge of the prison thought so much of him, they had turned him into a trustee, and there wasn't anything he couldn't do within the prison ranks. So he quickly changed clothes into something more suitable and went to meet the warden and told him that turns out that a man of high-ranking official wants to see you. Well, he goes and sees that man and tells him what he needs to find out about what's going on. And this gentleman thought so much of him, he gave him a full pardon from his sentence. And this pardon not only removed him from the gates of prison, it elevated him to the number 2 position in the country of Egypt. You see, the young man I'm talking about, you can read more about in the book of Genesis. You can start at chapter 37, and there you'll see the story of Joseph and what he went through and how God's sovereign grace and will brought him through, and his faith kept him during those days. I hope you enjoyed reading the story as much as I did, and I look forward to seeing you again with Moments with Max. Have a blessed day.